Good morning. I got a spooky card up here. If you've been watching for the last uh, couple of weeks, you'll know that at the equinox celebration ceremony here in Sacramento, that Constance and I attended, at the end of the ceremony in the Eucharist, it was just absolutely lovely. The ceremony used uh, wonderful, wonderful excerpts from the holy books of Thelema, all relative to the changing of the seasons, and it was just so cool. Anyway, at the end, everybody uh, ceremonially went up to the altar and took their host and their wine. And it wasn't a Gnostic Mass, but still it was a Eucharist. And then we reached our hand into a bag full of tarot cards. And the tarot cards were from the Tarot of Ceremonial Magic. I guess maybe that's why we got invited, because it's a good plug. Oracular cards. Anyway, I reached in and I pulled the devil. And uh, the Baphometic kind of devil image also graces the cover of my book, Allow Me to Introduce. And of course, Baphomet is a big thing in Thelema. I'm only bringing it up because uh, October. I mean, it's a spooky image for a sacred thing. Let's put it that way. It's a sacred image for or a scary image for a sacred thing. And I'm reminded, if you will allow me just for a moment to see if I can quickly find this portion of the Bhagavad Gita that is sort of relative to spooky images to sacred things. And it takes place, if I can find it here, it takes place where there's a huge battle going on, a huge battle. And it's like it's almost a battle between two sides of a family, of a big family of rulers of ancient India. Okay, and so the armies, in a sense, are relatives fighting relatives, and and it's for, of course, big cosmic significance too for the rulership of the. Here's the Ching, and there's the Bhagavad. There we go. Let's see if I just go right to it. Yeah, the Arjuna, okay, who is the world's greatest archer. Okay, he could hit anything with a bow. Okay, he was uh, like an archery Zen master, superhero archer. Okay, so he was going to lead one of the armies, and the other army was one of his relatives, uh, and so the god Krishna uh, was sort of overseeing this whole thing, and each general of each opposing army wanted Krishna on their side. Okay, in this battle, And of course, you know, Krishna is above all of that kind of stuff, but in a sense, because he's everything, he's also in all of that stuff. But anyway, so both the generals go and say, Krishna, will you be on our side? Would you be on our side? And Krishna says, okay, look, I will give one side my army. In other words, your army will be my army. And the other side, you can just have me. I'll be your chariot driver. Okay. So one of you can have my army, and one of you can just have me in your chariot talking to you. And so Arjuna, the archer guy, says, "Hey, I'll take you." And so that's the situation. And Krishna drives the chariot up to the front lines at the beginning of the battle, and Arjuna's inside, and Arjuna looks out at all of the opposing army, and it's awesome. And they're on this huge plain. It's a perfect battlefield, and then he sees in the front there, he sees his cousin and his uncles and his family and people he's grown up with and people that he's, and all of a sudden he says, shit, this is absolutely stupid. How can I do that? How can I take arms against my fellows? And then I guess Krishna did something with time space. He could do that. And he counsels Arjuna with what in essence is the Bhagavad Gita. Okay. He said, now wait a minute, Arjuna, settle down, don't cower. And then he starts to just spout the wisdom of the ages and the secrets of the human soul and the secrets of the cosmos and everything else. And telling me that it's okay in the big picture. You know what your duty is. In other words, what you're here to do, that only you can do. You got to do it, because that's how you can sync your will with the divine will. What are you here to do? Well, do that. Don't do anything else. Just do what only you can do. Because that's how you fit in the universe. Okay. And then Arjuna says something to the effect of, Krishna, you're a good-looking God, and everybody just loves you so much, and because you're everything, you appear in the most lovely form that each person could possibly imagine. I mean, I wrote a song, I Wish I Were Krishna, because I'd copy myself into multiple me's and make love to all the gopi girls I could please. And Krishna said, yeah, I'm looking like that to you because that's the way I look best to you. And Krishna says, show me what you really look like. Show me what you really look like. And Krishna says, "No, you really don't want that." just take my word for it. It's pretty damn awesome. And Arjuna goes, no, no, please. He says, well, just for a second. If the light of 1,000 suns were to rise in the sky at once, it would be like the light of that great spirit. Arjuna saw all the universe in its many parts, in its many ways, standing as one in the body of the God of gods. Then, filled with amazement, his hair bristling on his flesh, Arjuna bowed his head to the god, joined his hands in homage, and spoke. Seeing the many mouths and eyes of your great form, in as many arms, thighs, feet, bellies, fangs, the worlds tremble, and so do I. Seeing the fangs protruding from your mouths like fires of time, I lose my bearings and find no refuge. Be gracious, Lord of gods, shelter of the universe. Arjuna begs, tell me, who are you in this terrible form? Krishna responds, I am time grown old, creating world destruction set in motion to annihilate the worlds. I should be holding up the tower card. Even without you, all of these warriors arrayed in hostile ranks will cease to exist. Without you, these guys are going to cease to exist. Therefore arise and win glory, conquer your foes, and fulfill your kinship. They all are already slain in me. Be just my instrument, the archer at my side. Here the divine charioteer reveals his terrifying identity as creator and destroyer of everything in the universe. As destroyer, he's already destroyed both mighty armies. As creator, his cosmic purpose is to keep order in the universe as well as in the human world. Although the sight of Krishna's horrific power is too much for Arjuna to bear, and he begs to see him again in his calmer aspect, the experience brings to Arjuna the realization that his duty is to fight and ultimately linked to Krishna's divine activity. Okay. Well, that still didn't excuse him from exercising his common sense and human decency. That's the big cosmic way of looking at things. And the Bhagavad Gita is to make us think about the big cosmic way of looking at things. Anyway, October is a spooky, spooky month. And years and years ago, now I probably lost that other thing I was going to do. Here we go. Here we go. Hang on. Hang on. Oh, talk amongst yourselves. I was going to read a little something about Robert Chambers. 2 years ago, on my morning show, I talked a bit about this series of little essays, little stories called "The King in Yellow." And it was like written before Lovecraft's time, but after Edgar Allan Poe's time. And well, if I can't find it, I won't share it with you this morning. But here we go. Let's see. And it was published in a little series. I do some curating work and editing work for forwards and things like that for my good friends at Wiser Books. And a few years back, they asked me to curate a series that they called the Magical Antiquarian Curiosity Shop series. And that's sort of what the cover looks like. They were kind enough to the little effort that I put into it. They were kind enough to put a flattering picture of yours truly up. But I really wanted to talk a little about this particular set of things. Now, this is an excerpt, King, Repairer of Reputations. It's an excerpt from this larger work, The King in Yellow. And because it's a spooky month, and even though I've done something like this 2 years ago for you, I'm going to share a little piece of my introduction to it. The Repairer of Reputations, an excerpt from The King of Yellow by Robert W. Chambers. Okay. It starts with an epigraph there. Okay. From The King in Yellow. I pray God will curse the writer, as the writer has cursed the world with this beautiful, stupendous creation, terrible in its simplicity, irresistible in its truth, a world which now trembles before the King in Yellow. I just love shit like that. Welcome to the Wiser Magical Antiquarian Curiosity Shop. I'm your curator, Lon Milo DuQuette. I hope you'll enjoy the strange and curious objects d'art I've collected for your pleasure and edification. Furthermore, I hope you will wish to come back and visit the shop regularly. If your interests run to the odd, the unusual, the forbidden, or forgotten, then I believe you've come to the right place. Sit down. Have a cup of tea and allow me to draw your attention to this dusty book of short stories, first published in 1895. Perhaps you've heard of the King in Yellow? No? Neither had I until a few years ago when a filmmaker contacted me and informed me he was making a film out of it and asked if I'd be interested in appearing in a cameo in his production. Well, before I gave him my answer, well, the project, like all film projects so far that I've been involved with, few have turned out, okay? I did a bit of digging and discovered a most remarkable treasure, a terrifying work of American horror that predates by a quarter of a century the first short story by H.P. Lovecraft. Indeed, The King in Yellow by Robert W. Chambers is arguably the archetypal inspiration for what would become the entire genre of horror fiction, for which the immortal Lovecraft is ultimately credited. Robert W. Chambers, 1865 to 1933, is not exactly a household word, but that has not always been the case. Late in his career, his romantic novels and historical fictions were wildly popular, his books bestsellers, his magazine installments eagerly awaited. For a time, he was considered the most successful this is money-wise, most successful American literary figure of the day. Yet his latter and lighter offerings, while bringing him fame and a modest fortune, are forgettable bonbons compared to the strong meat and innovative brilliance of his works of horror. The most notable of all is The King in Yellow, a collection of short stories whose plots are loosely connected to an infamous imaginary book and play of the same title, banned universally because of their ominous tendency to drive mad those who read or come in contact with them. Indeed, the terror begins immediately with the reader unsure whether or not madness and suicide will be the price he or she will pay for turning the page. I was a bit disoriented when I began reading The King in Yellow's opening story, a dizzying effect that I'm sure Chambers intended to induce in the minds of his gay 90s readers. The tale, called The Repair of Reputations, takes place in the science fiction future of the 1920s New York City, a metropolis of street names, parks, landmarks, familiar to us still today, which Chambers meticulously paints from his rich palette of images. He was a classically trained and skilled artist, painter, and designer. However, there is something disturbingly tweaked within the entire milieu of the story. It is a utopian or dystopian but prosperous post-Civil War America, a blend of aristocratic republic and military dictatorship that could have easily evolved from the strange bedfellows of the Gilded Age's contending movements, nationalistic laissez-faire capitalism, and the liberal yet pragmatic ideals of social progressivism. From the opening lines, we are instantly plunged into an alternate reality where the comfortable and the familiar past has been slightly altered, and we are forced to confront the infinite what-ifs of history, and in doing so, call into question the objective reality of the present. Nestled within this surreal environment, we're introduced to a well-spoken narrator who at first seems to be a faithful servant of the truth, but who will soon give us reason to doubt both his sanity and our own. But I won't spoil that for you. Like Lovecraft, decades later, Chambers allows the reader's own imagination to do the heavy lifting of terror. Casilda's song, which serves as an epigram for the entire work, is supposedly clipped from Act 1, Scene 2 of the play The King in Yellow. And without burdening the reader's imagination with concrete certitudes, conjures images of strange locales and vistas, not of this earth, indeed, not of this universe, and only hints of characters of unspeakable power and horror. Along the shore the cloud waves break. The twin suns sink beneath the lake. The shadows lengthen in Carcosa. Strange is the night where black stars rise, and strange moons circle through the skies, but stranger still is lost Carcosa. Songs that the Hyades shall sing where flap the tatters of the king, must die unheard in dim Carcosa. Song of my soul, my voice is dead. Die thou unsung, as tears unshed shall dry and die in Las Carcosa. Like all great works of horror, the story becomes disturbingly dark and terrifying in direct proportion to the degrees to which our own hearts and minds are disturbed, dark, and frightened. Can I pour you another cup of tea? You may need something warm and comforting to hold on to as you read The King in Yellow. I wrote that in 2012 for the beautiful, I think, electronic series from Weiser. The Repair of Reputations. Okay, it's from the Magical Antiquarian Curiosity Shop. Well, that's it for today. Tomorrow, I'm taking Constance to the Smud Yard, our favorite place. It's like a fort. The Smud Yard is where the all the leaves and the organic composting kind of raw material the city piles up in this, they call it the Smud Yard, but it looks like an old log fort, and they just dump it there. And it's a mountain, and Constance climbs up on the mountain. She shoves all of that organic material in empty manure bags that we've got here, and she brings it back to compost. But anyway, so I'm telling you this is I may be visiting you tomorrow, not from the parking lot, but from the Smud Yard. So we'll just see how the timing goes. Until tomorrow, continue to be good to yourself, be good to each other, enjoy October spookiness, and hope that it doesn't in reality get so spooky that that we all go mad. Okay. Until tomorrow, continue to be good to yourself, be good to each other. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law, love under will.